So, so because we always focus on what are youngest children seeing, because we believe you can change the world overnight if you can change the mind of a child before they get unconscious bias baked in, we always ask this question. And so I wanted to know from our panelists, was there anything in media that inspired you to pursue a career in acting? And for you, you were our youngest. You were 12 when you started. So what the heck was it?
The cliff notes is Whitney Houston's greatest love of all, and I sang that at my kindergarten graduation. It's the first time I sang in front of people, and it was like a drug that I've not yet. I'm still chasing that high, like full-on addict. And I grew up in New Jersey to immigrant parents who were indulgent and supported my love of the musical theater. And when I was 5 years old, I saw my first Broadway musical, which was full of cats, not people, so no gender or race, just people in leotards. And but the thing that really you brought up Audra McDonald anyway, Audra McDonald in 1994 did a production of Carousel where she played Carrie, which is a role not originally written to be played by a person of color. And that production in particular was full of completely different people of color. So when she got married to Mr. Snow and they parade their children on stage, it was her and a white man playing Mr. Snow, and there were just children of all the colors of the world. And I was 1994, I was 12 or 13, and I decided I wanted to become a professional actor, and I did. Within a year. So that's how that happened.
So Faye, you mentioned that there were 3 iconic actors in roles that inspired you. You didn't become an actor, you went a different way, but tell us about those characters.
Sure. Well, for me, it was really about very strong, determined females. And I'm going to date myself, but that's okay. Going way back, Diane Carroll, played Julia, and then of course she was on Dallas, and then on Mannix he had a secretary who was Peggy Fair, and then of course we have fast forward to some absolutely amazing women like playing Dr. Huxtable and all these women, and I believe that it stemmed from my own mom, who was a very strong, determined woman who only had an 8th grade education, but owned her own home, no mortgage, and put all 6 of us kids through college.
Amazing, amazing. So Marlene, it was so interesting when we chatted, and I mean, you were influenced by books, you were influenced by Shakespeare, you were influenced by a lot of things, but is there something that you can pinpoint as a child the younger you, that interested you in media?
Wow. Mine was a strange one because I'm a product of a lot of crazy experiences, from assault to the greatest joys of my life. And growing up, I had this rage inside of me, and I was a straight A student all at the same time. So I was like really good in school, and then I was like the worst kid in school. So when it came time to expel me from the private schools, you couldn't, because I had the best grades. I did stuff like rob the bank at school. Really bad. And my dad stood in my face and told me he was gonna disown me. And I said, well, I'm giving it my best, and I became an actor. Fundamentally is because I think somewhere in me I knew I had it, and I was just a phenomenal liar. I mean, I believed the stuff I was saying. That was one. But otherwise, I was studying chemistry, everything. I have a sister who's a doctor, the other one's a lawyer, my brother's a mathematician. It is nuts. And I was just drawn towards people who could pretend to be other people. And it was all Caucasian people. And I'm Haitian, and somewhere in there, because of the upbringing where my great-grandfather was a lawyer, judge in the Supreme Court, I believed I can do anything. And I had this fight inside of me. And I remember seeing Angela Bassett in What's Love Got to Do with It? And when she punched Lawrence Fishburne in the back of that limo, it was clear to me I had to do that. That's pretty much it. That's not going any further. It's if I could just release that energy I had inside, this drive that I had to find an outlet for it. And in the professional professions that I sought out, I couldn't find it. So this outlet came when I was doing Shakespeare and when I was doing these big characters. And it was allowed to come out without getting arrested.
And thank God for all of us, she's not in jail, and we're visiting with her here. So, Fazia, I remember you saying you used to watch a lot of news as a kid. So, was there a particular newscaster that inspired you?
My family is Pakistani and I was raised Muslim, but and born in Canada. But then my family moved to a tiny town in Sydney, Nova Scotia, which is like Canadian Maine, and so. And so, really, the newscasters I think of, I don't remember, but I feel like they were Maine newscasters, so exceptionally sexy, But what I just wanted to sound like those people who didn't sound like they were from anywhere specific. Because I remember hearing there was all these sounds of like this new place I'd moved to, and I was 5 years old, and I just, I didn't want to sound like that, even though I didn't fully understand what that was. But then also, I had a lot of it. I mean, I had a lot of that desire, internalized sort of fear of my brownness and my Islamophobia. Like I had all the phobias of my actual identities and intersectionality, and so I wanted to be white. I mean, flat out, I wanted to be white. I didn't like being the dark house on the block during Christmas. I hated my lunch smelled. Like, why am I not eating bologna sandwiches? And so I was in this constant state of trying to be something else. And one of the things that definitely happened for me was when I was this, what I felt like was this weird brown kid that moved to this weird Atlantic Ocean town. And I felt like the odd person out. Comedy was a way of survival. So it wasn't just like performance, it was survival. It was like, oh, suddenly people were laughing with me and wanting to hang out with me and talk to me and be my buddy. And they were like, oh yeah, I don't know what that smell is, but you're hilarious. And so that was sort of the power of possibility for me in terms of like having friends.